I'm Deanna Vickers, Client Engagement Manager with Ackland Avenue. And today I'm talking about procrastination is your friend. A couple of months ago, some of you guys know that I've got daughters. They're 22 and they recently moved out of the house. And during that time, they were paying most of their own bills and scheduling all their own appointments, a lot of stuff that I used to do for them. And a few months ago, my mom told me that one day one of my daughters and was complaining about all the things she had to do, which amounted to be about 3 things. And my mom just kind of laughed and said, honey, this is life. Get used to it. You're always going to have a lot of things to do. At the time, I just really laughed because it wasn't me that had to say that. And then also it really gave me something to think about. Sometimes I let myself get a little carried away with all the things that I have to do, and it gets stressful. And that was just a really good thing. My mom was a very wise person, and it was pretty awesome. She shared that with my daughter, but it also was a good reminder for me. So, share the screen. Okay, so this is a picture of a board with a lot of Post-it notes on it, and some of you guys can probably identify with looking at this might give you. There's too much on your plate, and I think this is very common for most people, that there always seems to be more to do than you have time to get done. Eventually, you figure out that things fall off the list, and it's very unfortunate that sometimes people let the stress from all these things get to them, and they end up having mental problems or possibly even physical health issues. I'm sure all that stress is a really big part of a lot of health concerns that people have. Next one. So, procrastination, I think, has gotten a bit of a bum rap. What procrastination is, it's putting off important work and focusing on less important work or more enjoyable activities. So, if you think about this, is something more important that you could be doing in terms of maybe in earning money for your home or doing work on your home. But the thing is, what people isn't necessarily more important. So I think we kind of need to reclassify how we think about procrastination to understand that it's a tool and it can be used for good or for bad. We can move to the next. So late, in my opinion, would equal bad procrastination or bad use of that tool. When you have a deadline for something and you've missed your deadline and it is late, that is generally a bad thing. But I think sometimes, again, getting back to the whole issue of getting stressed out, sometimes I think we impose deadlines for things that we don't really need to. Maybe you've told yourself, oh, I'm going to get this done by Friday. But have you really thought about, does it need to be done by Friday? Maybe it could actually wait until next week, or maybe it really isn't that important at all. What I have learned over time, obviously in my role, managing a lot of tasks, something I have to do all the time, and some things that I have learned to constantly come back to, and also to bring my team back to, is just a reality check. So first of all, and obviously if the answer to this question is yes, then it's very bad. But the fallback question for myself when I'm planning and prioritizing is, anybody going to die? And seriously, sometimes people remind them that no one is going to die and that actually they can just relax a little bit. So the next consideration that I would have for any sort of prioritizing of items is it going to affect the bottom line? And this could be for work in terms of our overall work budget, or it could be for your home, for your finances that you manage at your house. And the reason that I would say that this is my next consideration is because in general, it affects more than one person. You know, the revenues for Ackland Avenue, it gives us all jobs. So therefore, it's pretty important. The finance, health of my house affects my whole family, and therefore that is also important. The last thing that I consider when I'm trying to prioritize the critical nature of a to-do item is, if it doesn't get done, will it affect one of my relationships in a negative way? And if the answer to any of those 3 items is yes, it really helps me establish how important this item is. in getting back to lateness, which is the topic of this slide, it also lets me know for my deadline because I choose a deadline. But it is also good to know if it is going to be late, how important it is, and what the impact is. Go on to the next one. So the next one is a good use of procrastination. This is on time. You're not missing your deadline, but maybe you are waiting until really close to the deadline. Planning to complete your work before the deadline is always a good thing, but earlier is not necessarily better. Some reasons that it might not be better is changing, and what's true today may not be true tomorrow. Sometimes there are changes in capabilities, and that could be around technology. For example, we wouldn't want to start writing user stories on a project that we're not going to see this year, because who knows what's going to happen in technology between some brand new framework that comes out that would change our approach entirely. So that would be one good reason that you would want to put off that work, even though we might have the time or the capabilities to do it today. That would be an instance where we would want to wait. Another item is you're planning a trip to a foreign country, and it's really awesome that you know what the currency rate is today, but if your trip is 6 months from now, that's not going to help you because currency fluctuates so much, and it's affected every single day. Another good example is like a medical. I worked in a surgery center a few years ago, and we did a ton of like knee and hip replacements. And sometimes the patient would come in and their situation, while it was bad, and we knew that they would have to have a surgery, the doctor would say, yes, you will need this, but we're going to try a few other things, knowing that you're eventually going to have surgery, but we're going to put it off for a year or two. Sometimes, you know, people are just really young and they didn't want to replace their joints that early in their life. Other times it could be because they know it works and this procedure might be a big benefit to the patient. So there are just some really good examples of reasons that you would want to wait based on current capabilities. Another thing is on your plans, and that can include like the weather, being sick, maybe work schedule priorities that would change at the last minute, a family vacation that is yet to be planned and you're trying to involve a bunch of people. And obviously that takes time for you to know what the ability is for everybody. So a takeaway for me personally in kind of running through this is I love to go to concerts, and frequently I'll buy tickets for concerts and other kinds of events way in advance. And I've come to realize over the years that I'm probably missing 40% due to conflicts for whatever reason, getting sick, not being able to travel to the venue or whatever. And so I've decided this last that I'm no longer going to buy tickets for events in advance, but I'll buy them at the last moment. And if for some reason I either can't afford the tickets, I'll money like I was doing previously. So just a quick note on that, the further you're trying to plan something out, the more likely you're going to have conflicting items happen at the last moment. All right, so once you've made some on what is critical and how to appropriately plan or perform your tasks, how do you keep track of it? So I love this example of, this is like a chaos to order example of the fruit salad. And then in the end, it's all laid out very neatly. Well, I want my fruit salad to be presented in this format. I do love the picture that it provides. So I'm really fond of taking something that was once kind of a mess and putting it into a format that is. So these are get organized, and these are all free. As you guys know, we use a lot of it at work. You can see the Google Docs icon. I use Google Docs a lot, and I've been using them for years, and I use them in my personal life. And I kind of evangelize them to friends and family as well. It's a wonderful way to share information, family events. I use Excel for creating lists for like a specific event, and then I use Google Calendars all the time. I actually have many calendars set up on my own personal account. I have one calendar that is set up for my finances that are positive, so any money I have coming in to my life is on that calendar. and I also have a financial negative calendar, so all my bills. And each of these items on those calendars is set up with like an email reminder. So I'm constantly notified of what is going on in my financial world. It's very helpful. Um, uh, I use it at home a lot for just personal projects, especially if I'm collaborating with people of a hobby project or whatever. I'll whip up a Trello board in a heartbeat. And I'm sure there are tons of Trello capabilities that I don't even know about yet, but even can be very, very helpful. And the last thing that I employ all the time, and you guys know that I am a talker, and that is discussion. You constantly have to talk to people about what the priorities are. You have to understand the impacts on other people in your life, especially those that you care about. You feel like, well, I'm a loner and I don't really socialize and my decisions aren't going to impact other people. But just for an example, as a smoker, and it may sound like just an individual decision to go out and have a cigarette, but something I've noticed over the years about doing, if there's somebody else outside, even if it's a smoking area, he'll ask first, is it okay with you if I smoke? And, I just thought, A, that's really nice, but B, I think he's really being considerate of the fact that he doesn't know if they have asthma. They don't know it's a smoking section. So even if a decision seems like it's something that's only you and it's not going to affect other people, you might want to think about it a little deeper before just going off and making that decision. And for me, it's a good way, if I talk about it with other people, it also helps prioritize it for myself. So even though it's on my list, it's on my Trello board, I'm getting an email reminder, sometimes it's just helpful to talk to other people about it. It helps me gauge how important it is and also responsibilities. And you may be feeling a little bit frazzled, like this little rat up here. I hope what I've shared with you guys can help provide a little bit of stress relief and get you to a better place. In the last slide. Like this, peaceful little rat holding a teddy bear. Anybody have questions? I would be happy at any point if you wanted more information on how to use Google Calendar. I do feel like I'm kind of expert on that. But at any time, honestly, if you want any help with organizing for anything, I actually love to do that. So if you have family events you're trying to plan, I would love to help you think of some things and how to get it organized. Any questions, anybody? All right, thank you.